Hi everyone who is watching. This is the second video that I'm filming on the same day, in case you're wondering. So I will be posting this after the ADHD one. And yeah, so this video, if you read the title, and if you didn't read the title, whatever, is going to be a review. That's the word. This is going to be a review on a book. And I forgot to get the book jacket. I will be right back. Okay. So, this is a book that I saw in a Barnes & Noble. I'm pretty sure I saw it at Target. And I was so excited. I don't know if I mentioned this in another video of mine. I'm pretty sure I did, but during the fall semester of school, I was currently reading Stephen King's The Shining. And it's a really popular book. Most people know it. If you don't feel bad. But it was written in the 80s, I believe. And it is a story about a family who went to a hotel and stayed there over the winter and took care of the hotel while it was currently closed. And I don't want to give away the ending too much, but there was a little boy who had, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, ESP or sort of paranormal skills, and it was definitely a ghost book. If you're scared easily, don't read it. However, it was really, really good, and I loved it. And then I was walking through Target, and I saw this. I was like, oh, how cool. Stephen King came out with another book. He's really, really good writer. He has so many books and so many short stories. He's just awesome. But this is his new book. It came out in 2013. It's called Dr. Sleep. And this is the cover, which I love so much. And I don't know, my mom didn't notice at first, so it has this sort of, it looks like steam or smoke, and underneath it there's a woman's face. I don't know if you can see it, but my mom couldn't see it at first. She thought it was just red. And then on the back there's a bathtub with a tile wall, and it says red rum, which if you read The Shining or have seen the movie The Shining, that makes sense to you. It's murder backwards. But this story follows Danny. Follows Danny from The Shining, he was the little boy in it. And, sorry, have to readjust. So it follows Danny's life and what he does when he's older, and a bunch of sequences and series of events, and I'm very particular with sequels, and when I see a sequel, I get excited, and I'm really excited for it. However, I don't always feel like sequels are necessary, especially with movies. So I had mixed feelings about it, but I got it for Christmas, and I was so excited because I love Stephen King, and after I read it, I loved it. Long story short, I loved it. Sequels are so hard to do, I feel, because if you have a really brilliant story and you try to do it again, it doesn't always work, especially because you already did it. So you have to keep this appeal, and you have to make it new somehow, even though it's a sequel, and you still want to keep that character or some aspects of your first book or story or movie. But this book was really amazing. My mom read it also, and she said she feels you don't need to read The Shining to read this book. I feel like it would be very helpful, though, if you read The Shining first, because there are lots of allusions to his past in the Stanley, or it's based off the Stanley. It's about the Overlook, and so the Overlook Hotel, you know, definitely haunted him, and he explains some of it, but if you don't quite know every part of the book, not every part of the book, if you don't quite know what he's talking about, it maybe isn't as meaningful to you. But basically the premise is Danny has grown up. He goes by Dan now, and you know, he's learned to silence his shining, which is, you know, his ability to read minds and predict events and see ghosts and all that. He has numbed his shining with drinking, just like his father had. And he struggles with that, but there is a girl, basically, who's contacted him who has the shining as well. And her name is Abra. And they are trying to, I don't want to give too much away. They're trying to, I guess, ward off or, you know, battle. It's not confrontational until the very end, though. They're trying to figure out this mystery about these people who seem to be really affecting Abra's life. And there's so many great things about this novel. For one, I really love the nostalgia in it. I think it has the perfect amount of, I guess, flashback that a sequel should have. There are a lot of times where Danny's remembering things, and at the very end there's a little part that just made me cry so much because I felt like it was real closure from the first book that you might not get if you didn't read it. You can read it if you want without reading The Shining, though, but I feel like it gives you that much more. It's like exposition, you know, extra knowledge that you maybe need to know. You don't need to know, but another thing that I really like about this book is the realism, because Dan throughout this story is 40 and Abra is 13, and I really like what King does in such being realistic about it. You know, Dan is constantly worried that people are going to think he's a pedophile for talking to this girl that he doesn't know. And I feel like that's very important in a novel, is to kind of grasp the anxiety someone might have. I don't feel like a lot of novels fully do that all that well, and I really like it. Of course, if you don't like descriptive books, don't read this. Stephen King is a very descriptive writer. He explains a lot of things, and there are some parts that make me very grossed out and nauseous, and so that's just a warning for you. All in all, I would give it 5 out of 5 stars, because it is a really great book. It's just written so beautifully, and if there's anything that I can suggest to you about this book, besides the fact that it's really expensive, I'm gonna look in here. This book is $30 hardback. I'm so lucky to have got it for Christmas. This is the only book I got for Christmas, and it makes sense, but I finished it in 3 days. The thing that I want, what was I going to say? I can't remember where I was going with the thing that I wanted to talk about, but, you know, it's a really, really good book. Oh, I know what, I am a terrible offender of not reading and not paying attention to the chapter names, or even chapter numbers. Somebody asked me what chapter I'm on. I have no idea. I'm just halfway through the book. That's all I can tell you. For this book, I learned really fast that the chapters kind of tie in with what's happening, which I'm sure it did with The Shining, but I don't read chapter names, which is a very bad habit. But read the chapter names and read the opening. Like, there are different parts in the story, but for those of you who are book nerds and who care, the writing is this big. I don't know if that, I don't want to like give away anything, but that's how big the writing is. It does have the book jacket, which I take off usually unless they're on my shelf, and it's like this. It's definitely heavy to carry around if you read on the go, so that's just cautionary. And I'm not sure if they're out in paperback yet, but it was a wonderful novel, and I feel like Stephen King really grasped, I feel very satisfied with how Danny's life played out, and I feel really satisfied that King decided to give us this story. It's very good. It's very good. I do definitely recommend it to anybody who likes kind of the horror novel type thing. It's very peculiar and different. There are lots of things about it that you wouldn't expect in a horror novel, but if you've ever read a Stephen King book, that's something that you just know about him. He doesn't overutilize gore or, you know, any of those cliches. So if you want to read this book, I know it's definitely available at Target, Barnes & Noble. I found it on Amazon. Again, hardback in, for us, it says on the book jacket that is $30 in the US and $34.99 in Canada. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else. I imagine it is, but I live in the US, so that's how it is for me. And anything else about the book that I need to talk about? No, it's just really great. Oh, another thing that I really, 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 really recommend is at the very end, Stephen King has an author's note, and I feel like that's really important to read. It gives you kind of look into how he wrote it and why he wrote it, and I think it's really interesting to read this author's note specifically. I usually read the author's notes and the introductions and the prefaces and stuff, but I recommend reading the author's note after you're done. So that has been my review for Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. I really recommend reading it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!